Welcome, everybody, and happy New Year's Eve. This is Panthers on the Plus. We normally do every Monday night at 9 o'clock. Given the big week, we are doing every single night at 9 o'clock with a special guest, getting you ready for Week 18, this rematch between the Carolina Panthers and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Not quite winning in for everybody involved, but a big game nonetheless to potentially decide the division. And we bring in Rick Stroud, longtime Buccaneers beat writer for the Tampa Bay Times. Rick, thank you so much for joining me, man. I just want to talk about the energy first, because it seems like there's a whole lot of it in the Panthers locker room. What are the vibes right now in the Bucs locker room as they've lost 7 of 8?
You know, it wouldn't really make you think they have lost 7 of 8. I mean, this locker room is still very together. They've been through a lot of battles together in the past, and they've had these slumps, not anything that's lasted this long. But it's really not a team that, seems to be out of it. I mean, they're still, talking to each other. They're still getting along pretty well. They're working hard. So it's not a positive vibe, obviously, when you lose that many games. I think there's always a confidence issue at that point. But they're still looking at this as another opportunity. They're going to need help for the first time. They had their own destiny there for a while. But it's actually, I think they've had a pretty good attitude about things.
Does that come from, being the 4-time division champions 4 straight years? I mean, they've done it before. They haven't done it a whole lot since Halloween, obviously, but they've been in this part of it before.
Yeah, I think you've got guys on this team that have won, Super Bowls, and it seems like a long time ago, and I guess it was, but when you have the leadership of a Mike Evans and Levante David and Tristan Wirfs and Antoine Winfield Jr., you really don't have a choice, but to follow those guys. And they've all said the right things. They, you go through these phases where you got to look in the mirror, and then, Todd Bowles had his, 7 F-bombs after a game, and they've kind of gone through the various stages of grief. But now it's they're out of bullets, and they know that even to have a chance, they have to win this game. There are no more games after this. So the finality of that in the NFL season, any NFL season, is always abrupt. And, I think they want to do everything they can to at least put themselves in a position. The worst thing for them, of course, would be, to lose the game, and then Atlanta, ends up losing to New Orleans. So they're taking this very seriously. And I think they're looking forward to the chance to play Carolina again. It was just, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it'll be 13 days between games there, so Carolina will have to beat them again. Just a quick health check, Rick. I know Baker popped up on the injury report with a throwing shoulder issue. It had been the non-throwing and a knee. What's kind of going on with Baker?
He's had about 8 or 9 injuries, different injuries, and it started with the knee, and we've had things like the oblique, and of course the left shoulder he separated against the Rams, and so he's been kind of harnessing that up. And so, the right shoulder is a new injury. He's had, a bicep injury on that arm. I think all of it's kind of been death by 1,000 paper cuts. But the way the guy plays, he's going to get hurt. He runs around probably way too much than he should. And I think that, when you wear your heart on your sleeve, you're likely to get it knocked off a few times. But I believe that he will make this game. I do think it's affected him down the stretch. You can look at his numbers. He started out 14 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. I want to say he's somewhere around 9 touchdowns and 8 interceptions in his last 6 or 8 games or something like that. So, finishing the last 3 games with fourth quarter picks is not a good sign. How much of that is injury? How much of that is something else? It's sometimes hard to tell. But there's no question, and a lot of guys are hurt right now, right? But he's had his share, and he always will. I think just, the way he plays, getting out of sacks, lowering his shoulder, running the football. He's not the biggest guy in the world. He's going to take those hits, but he'll be out there Sunday, and I expect him to do everything he can to try to win the game.
Talking to Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times. You can find him on X at NFL Stroud. Rick, we've heard post-game comments from Todd Bowles where it just seems to be a disconnect, especially on the defensive side. We see the Tristan Wirfs, Bucky Irving moment on the sideline. Is there a fracture here? Is that what's happening the last 8 games, or is it just a cumulative effect of the last 8 games?
Yeah, I think each thing is different, right? I mean, Bucky went through his trials, and it's been well documented. You know, he struggled being injured. He's never been injured before in his career, and he was out like something like 6 games. And he talked about that. Since he's come back, he's not had a lot of success. You know, I think he had, I don't know, 9 carries for 18 yards or somewhere like that, and it wasn't working. Now, you know, they've got 2 backup guards right now. Their offensive line has been obliterated by injuries a little bit. And those inside zone runs that he's been so successful at just haven't been there. So I do think there was a certain amount of frustration. You see that on every sideline. It's not always captured by the cameras. You know, Tristan was inactive that game, so he was sticking up for his guys a little bit. But all is fine after you get out of the heat of the battle. And I just think, yeah, you'll see frustration. Look, it's tough to win a game, as we've seen in this league. What's been so jarring for them is to start out 5-1, 6-2, and then have the wheels come off this way. But they've been their own worst enemies. They've lost games that they should have won. Up 14 against Atlanta, 19 accepted penalties against the Falcons. You can't lose that game. Even last week they had their opportunities. So there is a certain amount of frustration, and yet they have a heartbeat. It's not as big, as loud as it was before, but they still have a chance. So those guys. They've laughed about it a little bit. They've calmed down, but you get that on every sideline, I think, every Sunday.
Rick, I cover a team that seems to be a different football team week to week. You obviously cover one that was a different football team the first 8 games than it has been the last.
Yeah.
Where did it all go wrong? Is there a through line? Was there a turning point where it turns so south in the NFC South for this team?
It's hard to pinpoint, to be honest with you. They played a pretty good New England team, and Baker played really well in that game. They wound up losing it. I think that when you lose some of your key players, like they were without Mike Evans for a good stretch. He came back, broke his collarbone in Detroit. I really think that, that was the beginning of it. I think, also when there's film on Josh Grizzard, who's a new offensive coordinator, Baker was hurting some teams with his legs, and I think the Lions were the first one to kind of close down some of those running lanes, and it's a copycat league, and I think that, with him getting injured, but when you lose Mike Evans, Chris Godwin's been in and out of the lineup. At one point, Emeka Egbuka was their number 1 receiver, and even though he's an outstanding rookie, that was not his role early on. Losing Bucky Irving the way they did, I think injuries has been the biggest thing in this league. You have to have some luck with that. You just do. It's a little like NASCAR. I mean, you lose a tire here and blow a head gasket there, and it's like you're not going to get around the track. So in the years that they've won, they've been fortunate with injuries. Both Super Bowl championships I covered, and those teams were really lucky in terms of who they lost. But you also got to play better. Look, they got a first-time offensive coordinator. I mean, we were here with Dave Canales. He didn't exactly light the world on fire. I know that he did well enough to parlay that into a head coaching job. But those things are tough, and it's just the course of a football season. I've not seen it flip this way from 5-1, 6-2 to where they are now, but they've kind of gone through it. It's been a lot of things.
Final question for Rick Stroud. Thank you for joining us from the Tampa Bay Times. Last question. Knowing your audience there with the NASCAR reference here in Charlotte, North Carolina, the engine of any offense is the offensive line. Where do the Bucs stand on that unit right now? I know Wirfs missed last week. Sounds like he may be a go this week too.
Yeah, he's going to try to go. I mean, he's got a turf toe, and that's a tough thing for a guy that's 300, going on 50 pounds. He's had his share, right, with the knee injury, and he had an oblique, and so that's hurt him. But he's going to go out there and give it all he has. I think losing the 2 guards was difficult. They lost Cody Mock at the beginning of the season to a knee injury, and then losing Ben Bredesen a couple of different times. The guards are just not what they need to be, and so that hurts your center, Graham Barton, who played at Duke, and I think that it's just not been a real cohesive unit. But you'll see 3/5 of their starting lineup at the offensive line, and it's tough. It's a tough matchup because we know those big guys that Carolina has inside, and they had trouble moving them. They did run the ball 30-something times the last time they played them. I would think they'll try that again, but it's going to be a tough NFC South battle, man. It'll be probably low scoring and right down to the wire.
Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times. Rick, somebody's got to win the NFC South. We'll see how it plays out. Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times. Thanks for joining me, man.
Thanks for having me. No problem.
All right, more Panthers on the Plus. Previewing Panthers Bucks coming up. Welcome back to Panthers on the Plus. I am Nick Carboni, joined by producer Jeb Goldman, who's driving the ship, and great stuff from Tampa Bay Times beat writer Rick Stroud last segment. He's been around the game and around the Bucks and around this weird division for a long time. Doesn't get much weirder than it is this year, and we'll talk about that. Want to talk about a few things we've got going on WCNC Plus, Panthers on the Plus. It's going to be really exciting. So Jeb, of course, he's got the graphic ready to go. Didn't even know that. Fantastic work, Jeb. We will be covering the lead up to this game all week long. We have been covering it all week long. Every night at 9 o'clock, just like tonight here on New Year's Eve even, we will have a 30-minute breakdown of this matchup. Rick Stroud obviously joined us here on New Year's Eve. New Year's Day, we've got former Panthers safety and current Panthers broadcaster Eugene Robinson. And then to cap off the week, on Friday night at 9 o'clock, we've got Vashti Hurt from Carolina Blitz, who's been awesome on here before. You're not going to want to miss that. Friday is also when Danielle Stein is wheels down in Tampa Bay, delivering coverage starting Friday at 3 on WCNC Plus, and then all evening on both WCNC Plus and WCNC Charlotte. And Saturday, we've got something really special planned, a watch party. So what that is at 4 o'clock, so that's 30 minutes before kickoff. We've got a loaded roster of talent here in the building. We're going to be in multiple studios. We're going to be talking about the game. We're going to be having fun, talking about what this big moment, a quasi-playoff game, means to the city, to the franchise, to the fan base. We're also going to have Eugene in here breaking down plays as they happen and what the Panthers need to do to adjust mid-game against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So, and by the way, if the Panthers win and clinch the division Saturday night, we will be on immediately here on WCNC Plus with live post-game reaction and reports and analysis as well. So a lot to get to. Good Lord, Jeb, I don't want to know what we're going to do for the playoffs if they make it. We're going to have to really go nuts with that.
I was going to say, if this is just what it looks like when we're about to get there.
It's an exciting time. I mean, I've been here. This is my 10th season. There has been one playoff game in my time here, because I got here right after the Super Bowl. Don't blame it on me. But this would be a home game, which would be unbelievable. And you've seen the crowds the last couple of weeks at Bank of America Stadium. This place is dying for a home game. And I think we're going to hear a little bit about that from one of the players in this next segment. I'm actually just getting back from talking to the Panthers here on Wednesday afternoon. And we talked to a lot of these guys all week about what this situation means, how they can take advantage of it, and what a home playoff game would mean. So here's a little bit of a dive into the Panthers locker room here on Wednesday.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's exciting. Like you said, just talked a little bit about the stuff we've been through since we got drafted here. Injuries, losing seasons, coaching changes. Just to have this opportunity, it means a lot to both of us, and I'm sure all the guys that's been here for a long time. So, we're looking forward to it.
Man, I feel like we've been in a spot for a couple weeks now, but for some reason we just find a way to blow it. But it's now or never now. So obviously this is an important week for us and this organization. So we got to make it happen.
Have you been able to get a feel, like you talk about, for the organization, for the city? Have you kind of gotten a feel for that, like how bad they want this for this team?
For sure, I definitely feel like I've been feeling it recently. The past few home games, the crowd has been a little different. A lot of people in the locker room say this is kind of what the playoff atmosphere feels like, and I can definitely feel it.
Once the game starts, it's football. Like, you got to tackle, you got to do all the fundamental stuff to win the game. So that's kind of what I just try to focus in on.
You like playing on Saturday? How you feel about that?
It's cool. Like, I'd rather play Sunday because you messed up the week. But, it's cool. Like, it's going to be different. And for me, it's kind of like a Little League game. You get to play on Saturday. And that's kind of how I'm approaching it. Approach it like any other game and just have fun, live in the moment.
Over the last few weeks, we had a bunch of crazy situations happen that kind of put us over the hump. I think, if we want to get to where we need to be, we can't rely on anybody else. We need to go take care of ourselves.
When you talk about the pressure of getting it, win or go home, that sort of thing, is there a danger of guys trying to do too much?
I think that pressure's on you every day. Like, you're in the league. You either do your job or you send your ass home. So, I think that's one of those pressures that we live with. But, just to be at this stake in our career, it's going to be an exciting time.
Derek Brown has a great way with words, all the words. We appreciate Derek for that. There will be more from Derek coming up. But I think, the veterans on this team, and when I say veterans, I mean 5 or 6 year guys like J.C. Horn and Derek Brown that you're hearing from there, they understand this moment. They understand it is important to seize upon it right now, to not put it in the hands of their new nemesis, Tyler Shuck and New Orleans on Sunday afternoon against Atlanta. And, even rookies like Tetairoa McMillan, who has played and really spoken beyond his years here this year in his first season in the NFL, they understand they've had opportunities and they've blown those opportunities, as he said right there. One thing I do want to – it's interesting to hear Rick Stroud talk about the energy, and that's what I wanted to get into first, because it just seems like the Panthers season, despite its up and down nature, despite coming off another loss, the Panthers season is kind of rolling forward with momentum, despite the losses every other week, I know. But they didn't expect to be in this position. They haven't taken care of being in this position the last 2 or 3 times, but they are on an upswing. The Bucs, from the outside, from Charlotte, North Carolina, seem to kind of be on this late season slog, certainly a late season slide, losing 7 of 8. But it was interesting to hear Rick Stroud from the Tampa Bay Times tell us, look, in that locker room, there's belief there. There's hope. They know they have one life left, and they need help, but they know all it takes is 2 wins, really, 1 for them and 1 for New Orleans, and that they are in. And they have the personnel, and I think that is what would scare me the most, is that offensive personnel, Jeb, for Tampa Bay, that, if these guys finally turn it on and all click now that they're back together, it could be a rough day for the Panthers defense if they're not careful.
But that's the question, right, Nick? It's if they can turn it on.
Right.
At the beginning of the year, I think through 6 or 7 games, I would have told you Emeka Egbuka, not only was he the rookie of the year, I would have argued that he might be one of the best rookies we've ever seen. I mean, the latest in a long line of Ohio State products. But as you've seen this Tampa Bay team slide, you've seen that with him in that offense. And obviously, as Rick just told us, Baker's dealing with a new injury, looked awful against the Dolphins. And let's be honest, I mean, I think right now the Dolphins wouldn't, at a point, I could have lined up in the defense for the Dolphins. They were looking that ugly earlier on. So I think, to your point, it's a big if. If that offense gets going, the Panthers have problems.
Go ahead.
They might not. I mean, I think that's who. This is the team I'd want to play. I'd prefer to play them than Atlanta or New Orleans.
Certainly New Orleans. They don't want anything to do with them until 2026.
No, exactly. So that you have to take the positives as they come.
This game hinges on Baker Mayfield. You're absolutely right. And if the Bucs and Baker look shot from the jump in this game, we point to the Tuesday injury report yesterday, where Baker popped up with a right shoulder injury after dealing with a left shoulder injury for the last 7 or 8 games, and also the knee. He's obviously been limited. He's obviously been hampered by it. It has obviously forced him to make mistakes he did not make the first 8 games. He's got 10 interceptions these last 8 games, several fumbles lost as well. So it all hinges on Baker Mayfield. And I think when I look at the Bucs, I definitely think the Panthers have the advantage in many ways, including the tiebreaker, obviously. But when I look at the Bucs and looking at Baker Mayfield, if he's not right, and he hasn't been right for a while, this should be the Panthers' game to win. But we know they haven't always operated with that in mind, seemingly. But it is every other week, and they are due for a victory. So we're going to take one more quick break. We're going to hear more from the Carolina Panthers, including on that weird Atlanta wins and the Panthers are in no matter what scenario. It kind of opened a back door on Sunday if the Panthers can't kick down the front door on Saturday afternoon, which is, of course, the ideal situation. So we're going to hear more from the Carolina Panthers ahead of this big Week 18 rematch in Tampa coming up. All right, welcome back to Panthers on the Plus, getting you ready for Panthers Bucs Week 18 on Saturday, which was before Monday Night Football, win and in for both teams, but after Atlanta's stunning upset of the LA Rams in that thrilling game, that gave Carolina the inside track again for the division. So to recap, the Panthers either need a win or tie at Tampa on Saturday to clinch the NFC South and home playoff game, or if they lose, they need Atlanta to beat New Orleans. And they've needed Atlanta to win every week for the last 3 weeks. Atlanta's got 2 of the 3 down, and now they have to beat the Saints. However, This Panthers team, after getting swept by the Saints this year, does not want to see the ball or their playoff chances in the hands of New Orleans rookie quarterback Tyler Shuck. So this team is aware of the scenario. They watched Monday Night Football. I will say not all of them are aware. Let's listen.
We're aware of all those scenarios, and it's a pretty simple path. We got to handle business and win the game, and that's got to be our focus first and foremost. And all the other scenarios will play out how they will. I was watching the game last night. I watch every game on Monday night, and in this one right here, it's got implications. But at the same time, the focus has to be there for us to be able to handle business and play our best ball.
What did you think about the Falcons beating the Rams?
Focus on the Bucs.
You don't like having a second chance if you don't win that game?
I'm not sure. I didn't know that or know what that is. We want to go 1-0.
I did watch it. I had some emotion to it. But I'm going to give you the political answer and say we got to take care of our business, and that really is what it is. We got to take care of our business and, not really worry about even putting it in nobody else's hands. So we can take care of our own business. I feel like that'll feel better for everybody in this locker room.
Go win. That's the message. Go win. And that's what you got to be about. Watched, super entertaining game, great game to watch as a fan, but just go win. Don't leave no doubt. Go win, go take care of it, and do it the right way.
Yeah, we're not even worried about that. We're going in to win the game this weekend, so not worried about what anyone else got going on. We're trying to change this narrative in Carolina. Been trying to do it for a long time. So the fact that we're one game away, everybody feels it. You can feel the energy.
Yeah, you can feel the energy, Jeb. Like I said, despite the loss to Seattle last week and despite the up-and-down nature for the last 2 months or so, you can feel the energy and the momentum of the Panthers heading into this game, whereas we said the Bucs, not as much. We did, it's not included in that. That was from Tuesday. We did talk to Panthers corner Mike Jackson on Wednesday, and he was among, I don't know. I think Bryce does know that the situation.
Absolutely. I read it on his face. He's
just trying to play up to the mentality. You got to win. Mike Jackson legitimately did not know until somebody texted him Tuesday morning. Because listen, the games are on late. Not all these guys stay up and watch or watch enough.
That one was on late.
Because if you watch that game, that's all they talked about was how it affected Carolina. So again, it is win or tie and in for Carolina on Saturday. It is lose and have Atlanta win and in for Carolina if it gets to that point, and Atlanta plays on Sunday. I don't know how we cover that game from afar. Do we is there a watch party?
Right.
What are we doing at 1 o'clock on Sunday? But obviously it would feel a heck of a lot better just to take care of business.
Jalen Walker legacy game brewing?
But taking care of business, and that's been the key this last month or so for the Panthers. They have not. They've won every other game, so it's kind of like the confluence of these two Panthers teams in one right now. They win every other game, but they don't take advantage of the opportunities. So which one is going to win out on Saturday? This was the Panthers locker room after losing to the Seahawks, including some spicy stuff from Derek Brown. Let's take a listen to this.
That's enough. That's enough for the guys to understand this is your shot. This is the last shot we have. And I think the important part for me is when you truly get to this moment where this is the last game unless you win, that's got to be the focus on a weekly basis. This is the only one we have. This is it. It requires everything of us. This is truly it. This is what you preach about. And it's a great reminder for the group, and I can't wait to get the guys back in the building tomorrow so we can get right to it with the game plan.
And you got to go get it. And you talk about it all year where you want to go and you want to have these opportunities. We got no choice but to go get it. So it is what it is. If you don't understand what we got on the line now, I don't know what else to tell you. This is that we live for, playing in the league. So to be able to have this opportunity, especially for me, in a situation where I've never really had this opportunity, I'm going to lay it all on the line.
We keep doing this to ourselves, making it hard and winning pretty, losing ugly, and so again, just we've handled it, we've done it, and we've got to go in Tampa, and this is the championship opportunity that this place has had, and so it's on us to go get the job done.
All right, so again, those were the Carolina Panthers after the loss Sunday to the Seahawks in the locker room about 24 hours before they found out Atlanta had opened up that back door. So it is all down to Week 18. It is all down to this weekend. Somebody has to win this weird, wild NFC South. The Saints and Falcons seem interested in it, but they are not eligible anymore, so it'll be the Panthers or the Bucs. Panthers going for their first NFC South title since 2015, first playoff appearance since 2017. They would also host their first home playoff game since the 2015 season and their last since that unbelievable game against the Arizona Cardinals. Unbelievable atmosphere. At least they smoked the Cardinals in that game. We think that's coming out of the NFC West. A lot of San Francisco's win and in, Jeb. Seattle is win or tie and in. So that's pretty basic there. That'll be Saturday night, so hopefully the Panthers can watch that game knowing they're in and finding out who they're probably going to play as the 4 seed and a home playoff contender. So that'll do it for Panthers on the Plus here on New Year's Eve. Thank you for joining us. We wish you a fantastic entrance into 2026. Again, we will be back on New Year's Day evening at 9 o'clock. It'll be Nick Sturdivant and Eugene Robinson. I will be back here on Friday at 9 o'clock with Carolina Blitz's Vashti Hurt, and we've got a whole lot going on Saturday. Watch party, 4 o'clock, a win and in. We will be live immediately after that big victory here on WCNC Plus. So hopefully we'll see you all the way through, and then next week, of course, get you ready for a big home playoff game. Thanks for joining us.